Hello my dears, welcome to my channel, whether you're new or you're coming back. Today I'm doing a special edition reading for the collective, for everyone, and also for each of the zodiac signs separately on the full moon in Gemini that's coming up on November 27th. It might be 26 depending on where you are in the world. For the majority of you it will be 27th, however, and you can see the peak time based on your time zone. You can look it up online. I believe it's around 4 a.m. for the Eastern Standard Time zone where I am located, and you can look up your times. The important part is, of course, as always, the full moon energy lives on for a few days, so we're already actually in that energy as I'm doing this reading, and it will be around for a few days. It's a beaver moon energy. It's marking the end of the fall and going into winter time. And it's pretty significant in terms of opening us up to new ways or see new aspects of the way we are in relationships and communication with each other. So this full moon actually will highlight for you where you've been doing great, and it's a congratulation and celebration, and where there is work to do, and you will see why certain things are difficult for you. Like maybe it's difficult for you if somebody is doing better than you, like you are too competitive or jealous, or maybe it's difficult for you when another person is different from you in some sort of characteristic, whatever that is, and it can be very specific, very personal for you and for your own story. Why is it that way? Whether it's age or race or culture or language or social status or whatever it is, right? Like you will be seeing those threads of logic and those ideas that have been probably suppressed by your psyche for a long time, and now they're coming to the surface, so you can see why you're getting triggered easily in certain situations, or why it's easier for you to get along with some people and not with others. Like that will be much more obvious, and that will be for you to choose, of course, what you want to do with that information. So I will start with a few cards for the collective. Let's see what this is going to be a short tarot spread, what this full moon signifies for people watching, and what is the action, right? What's the advice? And then what I'll do, I'll go through each individual sign, starting with Sagittarius, because we are in Sagittarius season. Sagittarius watching, happy birthday, guys. And I'll go one by one through each of the signs to get some individual messages. And what I'm going to use, I will pull a few tarot cards, but most importantly, I will pull a message from the ancestors. I got this new beautiful deck that's called Angels and Ancestors, and I'll pull a card for each of you guys to see what the ancestor wants to say for your particular group. Okay, so what does this full moon show us? What is the meaning of it for the collective? We have 5 of Swords, 2 of Pentacles, and the Strength, and the action, 10 of Swords, Justice, and the Fates, which is the Wheel of Fortune in this deck. This is the Dream Keeper's Tarot that I'm using. The bottom of the deck is 6 of Pentacles. It's actually very much a Libra energy, very much well, not the Libra energy, sorry, but the balance energy, reciprocity energy. And we have Justice in the reading itself, right? So again, this is 6 of Pentacles, very much a communications, equal give and take. It's partnership. It's sharing of yourself with others, right? It can be one-to-one relationship, or it can be one-to-many if you're doing a public service, or how does what you're doing in life help other people? Those kind of questions that are being raised at this time, right? Like, how is your cause that you have inside is known on the outside? Because starting with the 6s in tarot, we actually start going outwards. We're sharing of who we are, what we've learned, what can we offer, right? So what can you offer? What tangible, specific things can you offer to others? Do people actually know that you have those skills and gifts and experience, right? Are you really showing of yourself authentically? Those kind of questions. And there will be a push from planets to find balance, right? To not overgive, but also not to hide yourself in what you can offer, right? Like to find that healthy compromise. That's a justice energy. But anyway, so the meaning, we have Five of Swords, Two of Pentacles, and the Strength, right? And actually in all of these cards, there is some sort of a struggle, if you notice, in the artwork. It's not always like that with these cards in tarot, but this particular deck, it is like that. With its struggle of juggling different priorities and not like having a hard time making a decision, whether it's self-sabotaging some good events in your life, or it's feeling like you don't have the power, the strength to free yourself from something unhealthy, right? Like all of these patterns are going to be coming up where you're limiting yourself. It's very interesting. So you will see how your psyche is maybe overprotective, right? How those suppressed memories, events, fears, and pain actually prevent you from going full on, from stepping into your strengths and being able to go for your dreams and being able to be of service to others, like what we've just discussed, right? Like seeing the limitations, real or imaginary, but a lot of them, and I know that it may be triggering to hear that they're imaginative, but you know that that's how our brain works, right? Like it's a pretty straightforward program that it plays, right? And what, like, as soon as it recognizes certain criteria, like enough criteria in the environment that like prompts the response, like a defensive response, that response is going to get initiated. There's not a lot of analysis going on there, right? So then that's why we talk so much about doing the work, about going into therapy, about all these different techniques and ways to heal those past traumas, right? So that that program isn't triggered, that it's not preventing you from taking the risk that should be taken, from going outside of your comfort zone. That will be possible. You will see those possibilities if you stay in the high vibe energy, of course. Just a disclaimer, I keep talking about it quite a lot, but the downside, or like the shadow side of this time is going to be that, especially with Mars and Saturn also having their impact in the current transits, you may feel like, and that strength card can turn into an ego card, where you may feel like you know everything very well, or you will know a little bit, but you will have an idea that you know everything about the situation, right? Like that will create opportunity for arrogance, for dismissal, for making unnecessary assumptions, right? For rushing into a conversation or an action that wasn't the sensible thing to do, right? So remember that Gemini is an air energy, right? So you're supposed to think before you speak or you act, right? It's supposed to make sense in your mind. And also Gemini is represented by a lover's card in tarot. So this is also about like consideration, like of a loving, of a kind approach. That's what you should be striving for. And speaking of that, going into action, you have two major arcanas here, the Wheel of Fortune and the Justice. So the universe will provide opportunities to find that balance, to find a compromise, right? You will see some signs, some fated events that will help you get there. But it's important to step outside of those past traumas that I was just talking about. It's easier said than done, but at least when you recognize them, and you will be shown, then you can pay more attention how they're playing out in your reality, and you can work with that energy. And then of course starts the work depending on what you're leaning towards, whether it's more classical psychology, whether it's more of an esoterics and energy work, inner work with your inner child, right? But this is about overcoming those old wounds and the barriers that they created in your life to be able to go for your best life and happiest life ever. Okay, on that note, I am gonna do a quick shuffle for tarot, and we'll go around sign by sign, starting with Sagittarius. Okay. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. I will be posting my monthly horoscopes very, very soon, so make sure that you are following me for those updates. And I have a separate channel for twin flames and light workers. It's called Mindful Twin Flame. You can check that out. There's a handle in the description box. Okay, so Sagittarius, what do we have for you in this full moon in Gemini? What do the ancestors want to say? It's the spring. See your seeds grow. Right, so one of the aspects of full moon, then its energetic meaning, is kind of summarizing how far you've come or seeing the progress from, you know, the efforts that you've made before. So this card is basically saying that it's time to recognize how far you've come, and also to celebrate, to appreciate that. And spring we celebrate, right? The rebirth or revival of nature. And yeah, this is the time to recognize that. To recognize that the gifts that you have in your life, you know, things that you're supposed to be appreciating, like how much work you've put in for those to happen. They weren't just a miracle, they weren't just a coincidence. You put in the work. That's why that's happening. The cards that I have for you are Five of Cups, the Empress, and the Five of Swords. Yeah, so we have two fives. Fives are about kind of closure for past situations, and I spoke about it at the beginning. So it looks like for you, especially like emotionally and mentally, it's very important to close some old chapter, to be able to step into this Empress self. There could be a Taurus or a Libra on your way that will help you with it, but most importantly, it's important for you, Sagittarius, to recognize your own power, to create, you know, to recognize that royal self in a good way, not the egotistic way, but to stop living in the past, to leave this behind, to release. That's what the moon is going to be helping you to do, and step into the big and beautiful dreams and ways that you can be nurturing, supportive, and creative for yourself and for people around you. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what we have for Capricorn. Mountains, stand your ground. Yeah, so it's like you are basically embracing the energy of the mountain, right? Like you're unshakable and you're supposed to be, right? Like stand in your truth, recognize that you, like why you are where you are, that it makes sense to you. Remember, Gemini is an air sign, and it's important that you understand why you do what you do, or why you defend your position in this case. And as long as you have it figured out, nobody will be able to get you off track or to kind of mess up your plans or whatever it is that other people may want to do. And in tarot, we have Seven of Wands, Four of Swords, and Four of Pentacles first. So you have two fours. It's interesting. Sagittarius had two fives. You have two fours. Fours, yeah, Four of Pentacles. Like this is kind of like being on your own kind of cards, right? This is taking rest, taking time to reflect, to understand. Four of Pentacles being closed off, kind of from external impact, right? So it may feel like that, but do not, like Seven of Wands is actually standing up for yourself. This is the same as what we saw with mountains, right? Standing your ground doesn't mean that you're, or taking time for yourself, creating space for yourself, doesn't mean that you're necessarily closing off from people around, right? It's a healthy way to recuperate and to replan, to see what your next leg of the journey is going to be like, right? And how do you build on your foundation? Like you have your foundation, what's next, right? So don't worry if anybody's trying to tell you that you're too closed off, or you're not working through your obligations, or whatever it is that where you may feel some pressure externally. Okay, moving on to Aquarius. Earth Guardian, stay rooted and grounded. That's a good idea on any day, but right now it seems like, especially since you're an air sign and air energy is very thick in the air, air is thick in the air. Yes, it's important not to float away, not to go too far, not to get carried away with that. That's how you get into Eight of Swords energy, you know, where you're self-sabotaging and you're like, you overthink. There we go. Do not overthink, Aquarius. You're supposed to stay rooted and grounded. Turn to nature if possible for that extra grounding, for that extra support from Mother Nature. Let's see what we have with tarot for you. Queen of Swords, the Fates, and Three of Pentacles. Yeah, so being a Queen of Swords energy is like, maybe there is a Queen of Swords in your life, of course. That is a feminine energy that could be usually not a spouse, not a life partner, but could be a sister, a business partner, a mother, somebody who will be making you accountable, right? So they will not let you like get carried away with like unnecessary. I'm sensing the energy of like beating yourself up for something. They won't let you do it. They'll be like, that's like, yeah, like cut the pity party, right? Like, let's get into something productive. And that's the Three of Pentacles, right? Instead of wallowing in sorrow or feeling sorry for yourself or thinking that maybe you have lack of luck lately or something along those lines, right? Like partnering with somebody, maybe it was this Queen of Swords, maybe it was someone else, partnering with somebody else to be productive, right? To create something positive, something healing even for yourself. It's very interesting. Whatever you're gonna create in that project with that someone or those people is gonna have healing impact on you, Aquarius. Okay, next we go with Pisces. The moon energy. Take note of intuitive messages. So this is very much on the nose, but the moon energy is actually Pisces energy. So it's like on the nose squared. Yes, Pisces. So this may actually take your way into other realms and other layers of energy. So just don't be afraid of that. It's all happening for a reason. It's kind of like self-regeneration energy I'm hearing for you. And also take note of what your dreams are, what your visions are, any kind of elusive thoughts or something that just pops into your mind. Everything's gonna be important, so make sure you write it down so you don't let it just float away back into the cosmos, but you actually take notes so you can work with that thought, with that energy. Your tarot cards are the Tower, the Moon, once again, and Three of Cups. Wow. So this is also the time of celebration for you. It's going to be a big change that's coming up. And the change is most likely in the belief system. It may have an effect on how you communicate with others or what kind of relationships you choose to keep in your life and which ones to let go of. And that could come in as a tower moment, because you will realize that some people have been taking advantage of you, or it hasn't been productive with some people for a long time, and you've kept them around for some reason, but now you can see that that's not really working. So you need to change it around and move on to something more friendly and kind, right? Somebody you can celebrate with, and you don't really need to prepare a certain theme or a certain agenda, right? You can just be with that person in any space, any situation, and you'll find a way to have fun together and to enjoy each other's company. That's your criterion. Okay, moving on to Aries. So your ancestor message is guardian angel. You're not alone. So at this time, call into your guardian angel or angels, Aries. They will definitely help answer any questions you have or help heal or process any kind of hardships. The moon can be uncovering painful points or stories or thoughts that you have, like even the feelings that you're experiencing now. Maybe you've been trying to be strong for a long time, or you are in denial of certain heartache that you've been going through, and at this time it may come up to the surface and may be hard to deal with it or to understand or to process. Your guardian angel is there to help you. Okay, so your tarot cards are Queen of Wands, Ten of Wands, and the Hanged Woman. Yeah, so definitely the advice is think before you act, for sure, 100%. But also I'm getting, especially in this deck, because to me, Ten of Wands in this deck is a lot about actually connecting to spirit and ancestors, right? So turn on your, and this is fire element and you are a fire sign. Turn on that spiritual connection. Be open to receiving messages from spirit, from higher power, and you know, use your power to also communicate to the collective, to the ethers, and to what is it that you desire, or what kind of questions do you want to get answers for, right? Do not rush with action at this time, but rather take time to understand what's going on with you and get more clarity if there is anything that you are not sure about. Okay, moving on to Taurus. You have the Hunter energy. Drag down your fears and desires. They are very relevant to the Moon energy, right? Fears and desires, right? So on the one hand, you will see maybe the bigger picture, like the more of a long-term plans and what your wishes are, right? Like how you see things unfold for yourself personally, professionally, and any level. On the other hand, you will also see why you haven't been as successful in that area as you would hope for, right? What has been stopping you, right? So you're hunting for that information during this time, Taurus. Let's see what we have for you with tarot. Knight of Cups, the High Priestess, and Eight of Cups. Yeah, very much a watery energy. So, especially if you have a lot of water in your chart, Taurus, this will be a very emotional time, I would put it that way, right? And certain experience may be coming around for you to know why you need to let go of them, or why it was wise to let go of them, right? It could be people, could be certain habits, certain places even that you said, okay, I'm not gonna go there again because it never ends well, right? Or this person is toxic in my life, and maybe you didn't say it like that, but now you're seeing why you stopped communicating with that person. The High Priestess energy is helping you actually tune into your intuition to guide you into the right and the wrong, and how your emotions have been guiding your path this far, the positive and the negative experiences. You've been able to use the emotional guidance, right, as the compass for finding the next step, the next leg of the journey, which way to make the next turn, and so on and so forth. So this is also something to be grateful for. Okay, that was Taurus. Let me do a quick shuffle of tarot and we'll get back to the reading and we'll continue with Gemini. So your ancestor message is Druid, hold the space. Yeah, so you may need to hold space for yourself actually, or for somebody else. And so since this full moon is in your sign, I'm getting that for you more than anyone, it's gonna be seeing how unconditional love manifests in certain situations, certain area of your life. It doesn't have to be romantic love. It can be friendship, a professional partnership. It can be a relationship with parents, family members, anything really, right? But you will see how that true love, and again, not necessarily making it romantic, although it could be for some, right? How much love is about holding space for another person, having that compassion, patience, kindness, being open to them despite the energy that they are bringing to the table. It's not always good, not always positive, but you showing up and holding space for them makes all the difference in the world, just on its own, right? So you don't necessarily have to do things to be a good friend, partner, parent, child, right? It's holding space is a big part of it, and you'll see how, like, what that means, right? You'll see in a very practical way. Tarot for you, Six of Cups, Queen of Wands, and Knight of Wands. Wow, you could be dealing with someone who's either older or younger than you, and there is an interesting dynamic in terms of maturity and aspirations in life. But this is Six of Cups here, so I'm getting that this is and I was just talking about someone, right, holding space and being there. So this is again the confirmation that this is about relationship with someone in your life. This is a soulmate from past life, right? And they are on your path for a reason, right? Most likely to recognize how you can find that harmony and balance, even though there is a difference. These are both fire signs though, right? So there is common ground, there is that harmonious energy underneath, but it may seem different on the surface, especially with this Knight of Wands. In this deck, this knight is not moving. This person is just kind of standing behind the armor, right? So be ready to find out something new about this person and about the way you relate to them and why in a good way and in a bad way, right? Why you've been so forgiven, or why you've been always nagging them about something, right? Like, those things will really highlight, because they're a soulmate. They're supposed to teach you about that. They're supposed to show you, right? And this is the time when you'll be able to see the results, like this summarize. It doesn't mean that the person is going away from your life, but if this experience have been somewhat challenging, that you will see that once you actually acknowledge this learning, that it's gonna go a lot smoother going forward. Okay, next we have Cancer. Your card is Shield Maiden, make plans and focus. Wow, yeah, so this is very much an air energy, right? Make plans, think about things, focus on what you want, right? Like, be specific. This is what you're being asked, Cancer. Be specific with what you're looking to attract, and that will come when you've realized what, like, the journey you've been through, why you're on this journey, and what has it shown to you about yourself, especially in the last 6 months. I forgot to mention it at the beginning, but this is important part of how we analyze what has been happening. Like, we're talking about the moon cycle closing, right? It was the full moon, but it's not exactly the cycle, the 28-day cycle between the last full moon and this one. It's a 6-month cycle between the last new moon in Gemini, which was in June, and now. So think about this time lag and what has been happening to you, and what has it taught you, and how does it make it clear what to focus on and the plans to make. Your tarot cards are Temperance, Ace of Pentacles, and King of Swords. Yeah, very much like being authentic in your plans and what comes next. The Temperance will help you acknowledge what has been fitting and what hasn't been fitting into your life naturally, right? It's also balancing the emotional and the practical side of things, and how do you make decisions, right, based on the emotion or based on practicality. Like, this will help. You're a Cancer, so Cancers are driven by water, by emotions in general, right? But it's not to say that, like, this time will actually show you how you don't have to go to the extreme into emotional logic. You can find that balance, and you will see that during this time. Okay, thank you. Moving on to Leo. Your card is the Seer. See beyond the current situation. So yeah, one of the ways this moon manifests at this time, especially with Saturn and Mars at play and igniting the energy of this full moon, is that you will see the bigger picture. Like, if you're in a high vibrational energy, you will definitely zoom out from your current situation and see the bigger picture. That's what you're asked to do, Leo. Let's see what we have in tarot for you. The Moon, the World, and Four of Cups. Yes, this is closing a cycle where you thought you regretted something in your life. Somewhere where you were like, wow, that seemed like such a good opportunity. How could I have missed it? Or, you know, this vacancy was so fitting for me. How could I not have gotten the job? I must have done something wrong. And maybe you're blaming yourself for something specific, right? This will show you how that was actually a blessing in disguise, that you didn't get it, or that you broke up with someone, or you were late for, you know, a flight or something like that. Like whatever it was, it's time to acknowledge that it was for your own good and let it go, right? So you can move on with something bigger and better, and start manifesting what you want to attract. Okay, Virgo, your card is the Spirit Fox. Trust your talents in changing times, right? So times are changing, that's what we're seeing here, and you're supposed to trust yourself. Virgo is very much down-to-earth, detail-oriented person. So this, if you don't see the details lining up for you, or you are out of your comfort zone with like not being able to follow your usual routine, this may seem scary, right? And maybe that's what the Spirit is trying to show you, that you're supposed to trust your talent, that even if you cannot do precisely what you're used to doing or the way that you've been doing things for years, right? This is a time of change, this is a time of opportunity. It may feel uncomfortable, but you're supposed to exercise trust in yourself and show your self-worth to yourself and to the world. Okay, what do we have as tarot? The Empress, Six of Wands, and Page of Wands. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there will be a learning curve. There will be something that you learn, where you learn to trust and to follow your intuition and kind of like inner path. But it's so important so that you can embrace this Empress energy, so that you can be successful, but on a much higher level, right? Where you can create the rules, right? You don't just follow the rules that somebody else has created, or like you don't just follow somebody else's philosophy, let's even put it that way, but you're creating your own philosophy, your own framework, your own system, your own technology, whatever it is, right? Empress is about creativity and innovation, a lot about that, not just about that. But this is for you an opportunity to see that in yourself, how this time of change and maybe chaos is actually pertinent to you reaching your success, the way that maybe you were dreaming about it and you didn't think it was possible. Now you're seeing how that could be possible. Moving on to Libra. Your card is Sage. Be devoted and committed, right? So if you made a decision or you have certain intention to go in a direction, stick with it, right? Don't give up easily. Don't think that just because your plan A didn't work, or somebody rejected you, that it's not gonna happen. No, maybe that wasn't the right person to go to. Maybe it just wasn't the divine timing for that to come through, right? Like it's gonna take longer for a reason, right? Stay devoted. Your cards are Page of Swords, Judgment, and Ten of Swords. Yes, you definitely will be seeing how previous experience have been muddying or clouding your judgment in terms of where to go next, right? Be very receptive to what you will read, you will see, you will hear at this time, right? That will be very important information for you to understand how to change the course of action, what you're supposed to go next, to how, like, you will see that enlightened path, right? Of kind of like, why did I keep like knocking my head like against that wall, like working so hard, like grinding at it, where there was a tunnel like right next to it that I just didn't see, and it would be a much easier, much more straightforward of a path, something along those lines. Okay, next we have Scorpio. Scorpio, your energy card is Protection Guardian. Drop your shields, right? So your guardian is protecting you. You don't have to be defensive. You don't have to play it safe. Go for it, Scorpio. You are a card that likes taking risk. So this is your time to take risk and not being afraid that your feelings will be hurt, or something is not gonna go your way just because it failed in the past, or you didn't feel strong enough in the past. You have all the support you need. Your cards are the Emperor, Ten of Wands, and Queen of Cups. Yeah, so leave that old burden behind. Don't let it succumb to just playing it safe, right? The Emperor is taking charge. It's about authority. It's about knowing what you want. And that's because we have North Node in Aries now. It's very important to, like, throughout this time, which is basically until end of next year, you will be reminded from time to time to think about what you want, how you see things, how you want things to play out, right? And it's important that you go into that energy now, right? And you have a fresh perspective on your current situation and next steps based on this, right? Queen of Cups is showing me that you will have new clarity about your emotional space and how it is related to these past burdens, maybe some ancestral karma or something along the lines of Akashic records, of where certain scenarios are happening to you over and over again and you couldn't put your finger on why. Like, you will maybe hear a story from a grandma, you will read something, or you will find some information, find out something that will show you how that is connected and kind of been passed through generations. So it's not something that you've done specifically, but you've definitely been chosen to work through that scenario and help your family line heal. Okay, next. Well, actually we're done, right? This was all. Okay. That was pretty intense, but I hope it served you well. This was for Sun, Moon, Ascendant, and Venus, so you're welcome to check out messages for each of those placements in your chart, or if you're a cross watcher for your loved one. And let me know in the comments if this resonated and in what way. And if you like these messages, I'm gonna do this kind of readings. I'm gonna do more of those in the future. I love you guys.